The Building Research Establishment was formed in 1921 in East Acton as a response to government initiatives such as Homes for Heroes and the Addison Act. Its founding mission was to investigate materials and construction methods suitable for new housing in response to the deficiencies highlighted by the First World War. The beginnings of BRE were during a period of great global construction growth. Only 2 years later, in 1923, did work commence on Sydney Harbour Bridge. Completed 9 years later, it is still to this day the tallest and widest steel arch bridge. By 1926, BRE's operations moved to the Bucknell's estate, its current day home. With this expansion in capacity, the Xylarium opened the Forest Products Research Laboratory, a timber library now including over 30,000 specimens. This library has gone on to inform research and guidance for the built environment industry for nearly a century. Only 5 years later, in 1931, the Empire State Building became the tallest building in the world, a title it held for nearly 4 decades. In 1932, BRE's first involvement with the Palace of Westminster saw BRE experts help avert a disaster in the refurbishment plans, one that would have seen the rapid decay of the restorative actions. BRE has gone on to continue advising on the repair and maintenance of heritage buildings ever since. While many BRE staff joined the forces during World War II, many were kept in post to carry out research for the war effort. This included research into the integrity of brick air raid shelters, assessing landing beach conditions, and a to-scale test of the dam busters' plan to breach the Moan Dam. It was in 1951 that BRE introduced the use of tower cranes to the UK to help improve house building efficiencies. Only 2 years later were over 200 being used across the UK, and by 1961 over 2,000. It was then, in 1961, that the first man, Russian-born Yuri Gagarin, entered outer space in the Vostok 1 spacecraft. Such success was soon followed by disaster, as the Ronin Point tower block collapse in 1968 claimed 4 lives and highlighted the consequences of poor design and construction practice. BRE was one of the investigatory parties that helped in the aftermath, using a scale model to demonstrate the failings. Less than a year later, in April 1969, Queen Elizabeth II opened Heathrow Terminal 1, then the largest new airport terminal in Western Europe. Following the fire research station joining BRE in 1972, the front room fire film was produced in 1985 to showcase how fast fire can engulf a room. Since then, there have been vast improvements in regulation and material innovation regarding furniture and finishings. The now world-leading BRE certification was created in 1990. It has since grown to include certifications that cover the full life cycle of buildings. It has been applied in over 70 countries, with over 10,000 individuals having been trained and licensed in BREEAM through BRE. A concept first posed back in 1802, the Channel Tunnel took modern engineers over 5 years and more than 13,000 workers, reaching completion in 1994. The Channel Tunnel went on to be the start of HS1 between Dover and London, which opened 13 years later. In 1997, BRE was privatised. A new charitable body, the BRE Trust, was formed to own BRE. Since then, the BRE Trust has collaborated with over 150 organisations on over £25 million worth of research. The turn of the century was celebrated with a flux of innovation, including the opening of the Millennium Bridge. The same day that it opened, the bridge had to be closed due to an increasing sway in its movement. BRE provided specialist equipment to help rectify the problem. In that same year, the Loss Prevention Certification Board was acquired by BRE. Since then, LPCB has grown to be accepted in over 65 countries worldwide. June 2005 saw the opening of the first BRE Innovation Park in Watford. Opening then with just 3 buildings, including the 60k house, the network has since grown, with parks in 4 continents, and has showcased over 22 buildings. The 2012 London Olympics were the greenest games on record, a title BRE's BREEAM and the Code for Sustainable Homes contributed to through their use across the Games. Following nearly 9 decades of BRE training services, the BRE Academy was founded in 2014. The Academy has since become a leading international provider of learning and education programs. The Academy now hosts over 260 courses on subjects from BIM and management to flood resilience and fire safety. The future for built environment industries and global society as a whole looks to be progressively pushing the boundaries, creating a growing need for collaborative and innovative research and education. In the last year, we saw the first direct flight from London to Perth. By 2020, the first 1 kilometre tall skyscraper is expected to open, and by 2031, the first humans will be on their way to Mars. This is all happening in a world that's population will hit 10 billion by 2055 and will be increasingly using fossil fuel alternatives. What history will you be part of?